Today we are discussing the difference between workflows and AI agents. There is a significant difference between both of them, and you can use them depending on the kind of things that you want to build. And so it's very important to understand what are the pros and cons and how exactly to apply each based on your specific use case. Here on my screen, I have a simple workflow. And in this case, we have two nodes and we have an AI model attached to the end. And just like any other workflow, the processing of the data flows from left to right. The output of one of the nodes goes into an input of the second node, and then the same thing happens for the model. This design resembles how programs are built. Essentially, the process moves from one step to the next. Compare this to what an agentic AI system looks like. It's similar in a way that there is an AI model, which is the agent, but the difference here is that there is no specific flow that needs to be executed. There's no start and there is no finish state. Essentially, the agent is responsible for all the things that needs to happen and decides on its own what it needs to do. So the steps that are required to fulfill the task, the order which is required to do that, even actually filling up all the necessary information in order to achieve the desired outcome is all performed by the AI agent. The significant difference here is that between the normal workflow and agentic AI design is that there is a bit of a chasm between both of them. One of them is more deterministic, the other one is less deterministic, but one of them is less flexible and the other one is more flexible. So let's look at some of the pros and cons between workflows and AI agents. So first of all, in terms of predictability, or what is known as determinism, workflows definitely are more deterministic because they are effectively like any other program. There is a certain set of inputs. The inputs have specific types. The types can be validated in advance. And there is also expected output, and the output also has a type. And so you can create a very specific determinism within the workflow with if-else conditions, and that actually makes the entire setup a lot more predictable. But at the same time, if we look at AI agents, they're a lot more flexible because the agent itself doesn't care an integer type represents a number. It doesn't care if the same number is represented as sequence of words rather than actual numerics. So in terms of flexibility, the AI agent definitely wins because it's a lot more flexible the way it handles the data. I would say also that in terms of scalability, the AI agent is also a lot more scalable. And the reason for this is because once you set up correctly, you don't have to change it very much. The efficiency of repetitive tasks, obviously, both of them have the capability of performing tasks. It's a bit of a 50-50 in this case, although I would say I lean in workflows being a lot more efficient, simply because you don't have to always engage a large language model or similar AI system in order to make the process work. Both of them are efficient to a large degree, especially when you use cheaper models. Learning capability, the AI agent has the ability to learn. This learning process can be captured in specific parts of the conversation flow. It can be captured outside. The AI model can reference that information at any specific point in time and reason about how to perform a specific task. The cost of implementation, workflows are better for this because the algorithms are cheap. You can rent a CPU or you can buy your own CPU, and that will be enough to fulfill millions of steps. When we deal with AI agents, there's always the cost of the large language model that needs to be considered. The same thing applies for error handling because workflows are essentially abstractions over traditional programs, and programs internally are constructed to a large degree like workflows, except that we use programming languages to describe them. They will be a lot better at error handling. So because they can be very specific. That does not necessarily mean that AI agents cannot perform error handling. They certainly can. And in fact, the error handling within the AI agents is a lot more flexible in a sense. But if you want to perform specific actions when specific errors occur and you want to be very deterministic about how to perform these actions, then workflows win. And in terms of human-like interaction, needless to say, AI agents are the winner. And in terms of easy to set up, at least today, workflows are significantly easier because workflows are well understood. It's not a new concept. This sort of visual style programming and workflow design has been known for many years. AI agents, because they're relatively new, they're less understood, and it requires a certain level of skill. Creating a good prompt or a good backstory, as in case of ChatBotKit, it's a bit of an art. And so therefore, it does require learning to understand what are the key components of an agentic system. But once this learning curve is overcome, then it becomes a lot easier. We can compare and contrast between them in so many different aspects. This is just one way. But the key point that I'm trying to drive here, we need to understand that both of them are different and they both serve different purposes. So if you want less deterministic system, potentially something that is more flexible, but you're okay if it makes mistakes from time to time, then the agentic AI system is the winner. But if you're looking for determinism, then you should try to figure out how to use workflows. Or better yet, program the solution in actual programming language. So I hope that this comparison was useful. This sort of questions has been asked a lot on our forums at ChatBotKit. And that's why we're putting a tutorial so that we clear things up a little bit for you. Thank you for listening.